Every morning when I wake up, my cabinet doors are open. I know that doesn't sound much, but the reason it bothered me was I always close it before going to bed. Every single night. It just became part of my routine. Turn off the lights, set my alarm, and close the cabinet, and go to sleep. The cabinet sat directly across my bed. It was one of those with a mirror attached to the door. But every morning, when I open my eyes, the left door is open. Always the left one. Never both. Just enough that I could see inside. The first time it happened, I thought maybe I just forgot to close it. Then I started paying attention. I made sure to close it, go to sleep. And when I wake up, the door is open again. It started getting annoying, so I checked the hinges. Nothing wrong with them. I even put a chair against the door one night. The next morning, the chair was still there, but the door was open. I tried telling friends about it and most of them just laughed it off. I really can't blame them. It sounds ridiculous. I just eventually stopped caring. The cabinet would be open in the morning. I'd close it and life moves on. Then one morning, I woke up and saw something inside. I only saw it for a second. A face. Peeking around the edge of the open door. Just staring at me. Like it was waiting for me to wake up. The moment I sat up, it just disappeared. I jumped out the bed and opened both doors. Nothing. Just clothes, boxes. The same junk that had always been there. I barely slept that night. I can't get the image out of my head. What was it? The next day, I decided the cabinet was going. I didn't care where. Trash, storage, the sidewalk, didn't matter. I got home from work and started emptying it out. A few minutes later, I was dragging it through my apartment toward the front door. I don't remember it being so heavy. Especially now that I took out all the stuff inside. Halfway through the living room, I had to stop and catch my breath. That's when I heard a loud bang. It came from inside the cabinet. I froze. A few seconds passed. Then another. Louder this time. Like somebody hitting it from the inside. The cabinet tipped sideways and hit the floor. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then I heard a voice. Muffled. Sounding like it was coming from behind the doors. It said, "Please don't." I left the cabinet exactly where it was, grabbed my keys and walked out. I got rid of the cabinet the next day. Paid somebody to haul it away. I didn't ask where it ended up. I didn't care. After a couple of days, I opened my eyes. One of the cabinet doors was open. Just enough that I could see inside. For about 6 months, I carpooled with a guy named Chris. We worked the same shift and he lived close by, that it didn't make sense driving separately. So we started splitting gas. It saved both of us money. That was pretty much the entire arrangement. He was a pretty decent guy, quiet most of the time. He was never late, never missed a day. The only usual thing about him was that he drove Uber after work. At least, that's what he told me. I never had a reason not to believe him. The first thing I noticed was a pink tumbler in the back seat. I picked it up one morning and asked him whose it was. Chris glanced at it and just shrugged. Probably an Uber passenger. Yeah, that checks out. People forget stuff all the time. A few days later, I noticed a pair of bright yellow headphones. Same answer. From an Uber passenger. A week after that, it was a floral umbrella. Then a denim jacket showed up in the back seat, covered in patches. I remember picking it up and asking if it was his. He looked offended. Does that look something I'd wear? Then he laughed. Uber passenger. The thing that started bothering me wasn't any of the stuff left behind. It was the fact that he never returned or threw it out. The tumbler was still there, the headphones, umbrella, and even the jacket. Every week, there seemed to be something new sitting in the back seat. Every week, the old stuff was still there. I asked him once why nobody ever came back for any of it. He said most people never do. Weeks passed and there was even more stuff in the back seat. A scarf, tote bag, a pair of sunglasses. And one night, while we were driving home after a late shift, the roads were mostly empty. Neither of us was talking. I was just looking out the window when I heard a bang. I turned around immediately. The sound came from the trunk. Chris didn't react, not even a little. A few seconds later, it happened again. Then I heard something else. A voice. Like someone was yelling from the inside. I couldn't make out the words, but I could feel their panic. I looked at Chris. He was just staring straight ahead, both hands locked on the steering wheel. Neither of us said anything. And then he sighed and quietly said, "Ah, I hate to do this to you." If you're enjoying the story so far, consider subscribing. The last story is called Sleep Talk. My wife talks in her sleep. She's done it for so long as I've known her. Most of the time it's just random nonsense. Usually I tell her about it the next morning. She asks what she said, and I tell her. We laugh about it over breakfast. I work remotely at night, and I set up my small office in our bedroom. I just like it that way. She goes to sleep around 10. I stay up working until morning. And then one night I hear her say, "Don't leave the lights on." I glance over and she's still asleep. I didn't think much of it as it's just her usual sleep talk. A few hours later, I'm still working. The bedroom light and the hallway light is still on. I got up to turn some of them off. And that's when I see it. Something is standing in the doorway, in the light, just standing there. I blink and it's gone. I didn't tell my wife. I really wasn't sure what I saw, so I kept it to myself. The next morning, she asks, "What did I say last night?" I just told her I don't remember. A few nights later, she says, "Don't leave my side." I look over and she's still sleeping. I wanted to wake her up, but decided not to. I got up to use the bathroom. I was gone for maybe less than a minute. When I came back, something is standing beside the bed, tall, looking down at my wife. I froze. The thing slowly turns its head toward me and just disappears, like it was never there. I couldn't work after that. I couldn't sleep either. I, I just, I just sat there. Morning came and my wife asks, "What did I say last night?" I tell her, "Nothing." She looks at me for a second, and for a second I thought she's going to call me out. Instead, she just nods. I just didn't want to scare her. The following night feels different. I can't explain why. Around 3 in the morning, I hear my wife speak again. "Honey." I turn around and again she's asleep. Then she says, "They're under your desk." I stare at the floor, waiting. But nothing happens. A few seconds pass, then I hear it right beneath me. Then another sound. I don't want to look. But when I finally did, oh God, there are faces under my desk. Faces looking up at me, staring. Then I hear my wife behind me. "Oh, you see them now."